What's up, y'all? Welcome into the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. We're getting you ready for tonight's game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks. It's a win or go home time on a Friday night in the I was thinking, is it Friday or is it Saturday? You know, it's crazy. The Grizzlies played the Mavericks. The Grizzlies played the Mavericks already this week.
They did.
It feels like it was 3 months ago, but yeah, it's already happened once this week. I'm Lane Whitaker here in the studio with my guys Michael Wallace and John Roser. We're all sitting here live. I mean, it doesn't get more Memphis than this. We were literally talking about 3-6 Mafia like 10 seconds before Kyra clicked.
You want to quote some of the lyrics I was quoting?
Maybe not all of those.
Yeah, get us that last hook you was just saying.
I'm good on that.
We're here for the M. We're here for
Shout out DJ Paul, though.
Yeah. And hopefully the Grizzlies tonight can get this win against the Dallas Mavericks. The Grizzlies are coming off the 121-116 loss at Golden State on Tuesday night. Big game for Josh, 22-3-3. Jaren, 18-6-4. Dez was amazing, 30 points, 6 assists, 4 boards. Zach Edey had another big game, 14 points, 17 rebounds. It was a big presence for the Grizzlies. The Dallas Mavericks are coming off a win over the Sacramento Kings, and they looked really good. Anthony Davis played. They had pretty much their whole complement of players and knocked out the Kings 120-106. AD had 27 and 9. Klay Thompson looked good, 23 points, 5 of 7 on threes. Grizzlies 3-1 against Dallas this season. Dallas and Memphis each allow over 115 points, so it should be an offensive game. And tonight is when it all matters. Whoever loses, it's the end of their season. Whoever wins goes to the first round of the NBA playoffs starting on Sunday. Michael, you were in Oakland, or I guess not Oakland, San Francisco with the Grizzlies for that game. And going into that game, I think everyone was not really sure what to expect. Mm-hmm. Grizzlies, my takeaway, we talked about it on the double post, the post-game show. I felt like, all things considered, the Grizzlies fought really hard in that game.
They did, but I mean, it was familiar
after they went down 20
issues.
Yeah.
Right? It was familiar issues, digging a hole early, fighting your way back because they've been resilient all season long, and then at the end, when you give yourself a chance, it's a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
Like that always tends to happen, and few teams are capable of blowing these Grizzlies out. Like they never just not play or don't fight. But the bottom line was that, you didn't approach that game with the right mentality, and you cannot fall into that hole against Golden State. But you also knew you had one in your back pocket to come back here and play at home with. And then, again, the big news, man, Ja Morant. Like, is he going to be able to go on that ankle? How much did that cost, the Grizzlies? And we'll see. And like I said, you guys saw the towel, right? The rally towel right there. Do it for the M. And if you do this, Lane, watch this. You flip it upside down. It's a W. Let's go get that dub. Let's go get that dub. You see what I did there, Rosen? You see what I did there?
That was some street. You get that from Jameis Winston. that was a real Jameis Winston energy on that one right there for the M.
At Roth.
And look at it though. It works though, doesn't it? It works though.
I see. It also kind of looks like the Ultimate Warrior's mask.
Yeah, it does. It does. R.I.P.
Or face paint. R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. the Warrior.
Well, hopefully the Grizz season doesn't die tonight.
Oh, way to tie it in.
Yeah.
That's it. That's professional right there, John Roser. Hey, John, what do you think at the end of that game? When I called it on the double post, and everybody was like, the thing we remember from that game is the 5-second violation at the end on Santi Aldama. 3 days later, is that still your lasting memory of that game?
I mean, I think it's Ja getting injured. I think Ja's injury is going to be the one, because I think that's also something that is carrying over into tonight, too. And then with the win, it could also potentially carry over into a first-round series against Oklahoma City. So not only could you have, because of Ja's injury, a what-if last night, you could have, or a what if at Golden State with Ja's injury. You could also, with Ja's injury, cause you to have a what if tonight, or a what if in a 7-game series of potentially Oklahoma City, where you say, what if we had Ja healthy? And unfortunately, it's something we've had to say, a lot this season. But I'm not going to forget the Santi 5-second call, because you just don't see many 5-second calls. Like they're not a thing that happens a lot. But I think Ja's injury, and he tried to gut it out, and he hit a couple shots, when he right after, he decided to keep playing on it and came back in. But I think Morant's ankle injury.
Mike, we haven't talked about this. You and I haven't. I don't know what your feeling on it is. When I called into their show, I said, like, that's to me that like one play doesn't win or lose the game. You know, like Ja had a turnover with 2 minutes left where we were down 2 and he was 1 on 3 and he managed to, we didn't get any points out of that. You know, like there's a lot of plays that you could say, you know, led to the win, led to the loss for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
But I felt like you can't just put it on one play to be the reason we lost that game.
No, there were multiple plays, multiple reasons. I mean, you could talk about the 5-second violation.
Yeah.
Right? You could talk about the Scottie Pippen missed free throw that would have given you a possession down 2 points as opposed to 3. You could talk about the last 2 minutes report where there were mistakes made on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, multiple calls that were made.
The ones for us were makeup calls, though.
Yeah, just within the last 2 minutes. But the bottom line is that was going to be a tough place to play, as you see right now with the highlights. The Grizzlies found some rhythm. They started the game great, and then that middle part, second and third quarter, they just couldn't get out of their own way, man. And you know, again, these guys have to figure out a way to beat Golden State at some point. It's been 5 years almost. So, but tonight, you can erase all of that. You get a win tonight, we won't even remember the Golden State game.
We are live from the studio over here across the street from FedEx Forum. We're right connected to FedEx Forum, but FedEx Forum's right behind us. And Coach Tuomasi Solo said in his pregame remarks, we're going to have an answer about Ja in the next, he said it between 60 minutes and 30 minutes before the game, which is now. So at some point while we're here talking to you, Ja's probably going to take the court and go through his warm-ups and see how it feels, see how the ankle responds. I know he's been having treatment since the game on Tuesday night at Golden State. Hopefully he's able to go tonight and is able to play. He missed practice yesterday. We know he's a game-time decision. I think Ja's impact on this team really can't be understated. He's had 20-plus points in 18 straight games.
Yeah.
The last 18 games he's played.
Yeah.
They had played Dallas without Ja one time this year, and they won that game. But Dallas didn't have Luka Doncic or Anthony Davis in that
Sunday.
game.
This week.
No. There was another one, though. Earlier this
twice
season.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And earlier this year, there was also that game where the Grizzlies had 35 free throw attempts to Dallas's 15. I don't know if that happens again tonight.
Yeah.
But Ja, I mean, what do you think, Mike? Like, what's your gut tell you? You were there with the team. Like, what do you think?
I take him at his word when he told us immediately in the locker room, I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing. And I know it was defiant Ja. I know it was, hey, I don't want to have to keep answering these questions for the next 2 days, so let me just go ahead and say it right now. I'm playing. I know it was a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I kind of tend to lean towards what Draymond Green said afterwards, too. It's going to be hard for Ja to play on Friday. Like, he played straight off of adrenaline when he played those last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter coming back. He's been in treatment throughout the last 48 hours. As a matter of fact, ESPN reported that he even received an injection to help him deal with the pain and that there's still significant swelling. If that's the case, it's going to be very difficult for Ja to be Ja. But is a 60% Ja enough? Can that help? Regardless, he's not going to be 100%, and I think it's going to be a big-time moment for Scottie Pippen Jr. and some other guys to step up and help fill that void.
Can we fill the void, John, if Ja doesn't play?
I mean, you're going to need other guys to step up. Fortunately, I do think, if Ja doesn't play, I think you would say Anthony, and you may say this otherwise, but Anthony Davis is probably the best player in this game. But I think even if Ja doesn't play, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane are the two that you would take right after that. Yeah. Desmond Bane had a monster game.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Monster game on Tuesday night in San Francisco. And
he's had monster games against Dallas, too, because Jay Kidd talked about that.
He hates them. Also talked to Mavericks radio guy Chuck Cooperstein before the game, and he specifically brought up Desmond Bane. He just holds it against us because we didn't draft him and he went to TCU. He is going to make it his life's mission to make Mavericks fans and the Mavericks organization miserable. So, I mean, I think you have to look at Desmond Bane as a guy who needs to step up. I think Santi Aldama is a guy who has been capable of scoring the ball, that he has to step up. I think Scottie Pippen Jr. has shown over these last couple of weeks that he's here. He's built for this.
Yeah.
I think that's a guy who was playing down the stretch the other night who I think could also step up and pick up some scoring slack too if Ja is unable to go.
But Lane, think about this though before you go there. Like, Dallas doesn't have Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, you're taking two major pieces off the board. They never had Kyrie Irving coming down the stretch. So if Ja is able to go, if he's limited, I mean, Dallas can say, hey, we don't have our point guard.
Yeah.
Their backcourt has been Klay Thompson and Najee Marshall.
Yeah.
Neither one of those guys are traditional point guards,
Yeah.
right? So the Grizzlies are in that same situation too. So can Jaren Jackson Jr. offset Anthony Davis? Can Zach Edey be, productive like he's been to offset Dallas's bigs? And can you get Desmond Bane to be the equalizer in this game? And I think that's going to determine it right there.
We also haven't seen much of that lineup we saw a lot of when Ja was hurt, with Kennard and Bane starting together in the backcourt and trying to figure out how that works. Hey, let's go over to FedEx Forum, because right now joining us from Courtside, our friend Jessica Benson. She'll be on the call tonight on ESPN 92.9 with Eric Hasseltine and Ilya Perry and Bennett Doyle. And Jessica, we were told that we might get some sort of update on Ja in the next half hour. Has he come out for warm-ups or anything like that yet?
He has not come out yet. Everybody is anxiously awaiting to see how Ja Morant looks when he comes out of the tunnel. But that is the biggest story of the evening. Will Ja play? Won't he play? I was told he walked in a tech suit, which is usually a good sign that he's feeling it and he wants to play. And I think that's been clear since after the Warriors game on Tuesday. Like, it was never a question for Ja. He's like, I'm going to play come Friday's must-win elimination game for this team. And now it's just a matter of if the body works and everything else works to get him out here on the court.
We were talking about the Golden State game, and you and I and Rosa were all watching that game together in the room here. 3 days later, what's your feel in that game? Are you still as mad about the 5-second call, or are you kind of thinking of it more big picture now?
No, I think you and I talked about it earlier this morning on my show, in the sense that it just felt so indicative of what this team has faced for the majority of the latter half of the season. And that is watching them fall into a big hole. They go down 20 to the Warriors early. They're good enough. They fight back, make you believe that, hey, they might actually go out and get a win against a team that hardly anybody picked them to beat the Warriors in that game. And then ultimately it comes down to failure of late game execution. And so, yes, I think that 5-second call was very frustrating in real time, but perhaps it was made more frustrating in that it was representative of a larger issue that we have seen time and time again this year. So, hey, maybe this time around you get in a situation where you are up so big late in the game, it's a no-doubter, and we won't have to worry about 5-second calls or something silly going on down the stretch.
Jessica, we're all trying to read the tea leaves. We're all trying to, decipher the code about Ja Morant's availability. You were asked, is he on the court yet? Have you seen Kevin Helms yet? Is his security detail around the court yet? If you see Kevin, that's a good sign.
He walked past me. I was doing like a little checking my makeup, checking my hair, and he walked by and he said, "Don't worry about it. You're looking good." And I said, "Thank you. How's Ja looking?" And I didn't get anything. So we're all just trying our best to figure out if he's going to play.
Okay. So if he does play, and let's just assume that he's going to give it a go and try to play. If he's not 100%, which we know he's not going to be, who is the next most important ball handler? Obviously, I think it's Scottie Pippen Jr., but it's going to be a committee approach in terms of being facilitators. Who is the next most important guy when it comes to being able to protect the ball?
It's tough because based on what we've seen from this season, you're assuming that Desmond Bane is going to get a lot of run on the ball. And unfortunately, Desmond Bane is at his most comfortable when that's not asked of him. I thought the game against the Warriors was a perfect indication of what Desmond Bane does best. And that is shoot the three. He's the flyby king. He gets downhill Des, but he's looking to score, not necessarily looking to pass in those situations. So you put a little bit of load on him. Scottie Pippen Jr. obviously has grown accustomed to being that backup point guard role for this team. But I do think the most important thing with Ja is perhaps this injury, while it might not hinder his facilitating, obviously it could hinder his ability to go at the trees, right? All of these bigs on this Dallas Mavericks team and his attempts to get into the paint and take some extra contact. But we've seen Ja improve so much with his jump shot, and specifically his three-point shot. And so if you're able to stay out around the perimeter maybe and take advantage of that as a win, that's a good thing too. Just because he can't do some of the flashy, how did he do that Ja moves that we've grown accustomed to, I think maybe it could play into a more steady game for the entirety of the team.
And maybe you get downhill Dez and some of the other guys able to attack the basket a little more. Coach Isalo said in his pregame remarks that Dallas is actually 30th in the league in paint touches, allowing paint touches, which would put them dead last. But they're elite at protecting the rim. So you might get the ball in there, but you're going to have trouble scoring once you're in there. We were talking about who are the guys around there. You're talking about the trees, like you mentioned, Dallas's lineup. It's really like a clash of styles, right? You got this fast-paced Grizzlies team that gets up and down, and can kind of shoot a lot of threes and play outside in. And then Dallas, who has all these big guys and is going to attack the rim and try to get buckets inside. How do you see that playing out?
It's interesting because I think some people, when they were evaluating who would you rather play, the Kings or the Mavs in that other play-in game, they're like, I take the Kings because I don't really want to get in a down in the mud fight against the Mavericks. And I actually went the other direction. I look at how this Grizzlies team has performed in those games that are more low scoring, and they've actually been pretty successful. Their last 4 games where their opponent has scored 110 or less points, the Grizzlies are 4-0, and most recently that game against the Detroit Pistons. You're watching it and you're like, wow, this is a really ugly basketball game, but the Grizzlies are able to make more plays down the stretch. And a big portion of that is the play of Ja Morant and calling 12, and so then that factors into, just how okay he is, what the level of severity of the injury that he's playing with tonight is. But I'm not quite as concerned. This Grizzlies team has shown that they are able to gut out wins, and if you are in a situation where you have the home court advantage on your side, the energy in FedEx Forum should be pretty incredible. The growl towels are out for the M. I like their chances in a game that goes that direction.
Jess, as Lane pointed out earlier in the show today, this is the second time these teams will be facing each other in the span of a week. It seemed like that Sunday game was so long ago, but 2 members of Dallas's rotation that played in that game, Daniel Gafford and Brandon Williams, like those 2 guys really showed some things in that game. What did you take away from that game in terms of their others that the Grizzlies need to be cognizant of going into this game tonight?
I thought Daniel Gafford was going to score 55 points in that game the way that he started against the Grizzlies last Sunday. So it was nice to see them go away from that a bit. But no, I think from a standpoint of you have to respect Brandon Williams off the bench. He's been tremendous and is probably one of the best valued contracts that you have in the league still as you go into this postseason. It also gives them a ball handler, someone who can facilitate the offense. They really operate by committee. They started Najee Harris against the Kings, and going with those supersized lineups, you're seeing just kind of a sharing is caring effect from them. But the thing with Daniel Gafford, it's just, they're huge. With Anthony Davis, with Derek Lively, with Daniel Gafford down there, and then you throw in the likes of a PJ Washington, even Klay Thompson, he's 6'6". Like, you're not running anyone out there in that starting 5 who's under 6'6", and you're pretty big coming off the bench, too. So we'll see how the Grizzlies are able to adjust. And my thing right now, I don't need Najee Harris to have the 3-point shooting game of his life, right? Like, we don't need one of these others to be the guy that we're looking at and say, why are the Grizzlies leaving him open time and time again? That's been something that has bit them at certain times this season, and that'll be one of the contributing factors to not allow one of the, I don't want to call them random, but one of the others to get hot from 3 tonight.
Jessica, one name we have not mentioned really that much here, and I think we do. He had 17 rebounds on Tuesday night, but that is a much smaller front line in Golden State. This is definitely might be the biggest front line in the NBA when you talk about Lively, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and then they can bring in even a guy like PJ Washington who can play some 4. What are reasonable expectations tonight for Zach Edey?
It's a real baptism by fire, and you're going to need him to get as many rebounds as possible. That has to be an advantage for the Grizzlies tonight, which is obviously not a guaranteed, but to see how consistent Zach has been on the boards has been one of the most promising things about this spurt of play from him. And if you have an opportunity where he's able to generate second chance opportunities, specifically on that offensive glass, it's huge. You would also love to see him get a little bit of confidence going in those shots around the rim. I know it's even more difficult, but if there's anyone who can match the size of this Mavericks team, it would be 7'4". We'll round him up 7'5", Zach Edey. So if they're able to take advantage of that, it could be a big difference maker tonight, obviously.
Jessica Benson will be on the call tonight on ESPN 92.9 alongside Eric Hasseltine, Elliot Berry, and Bennett Doyle. And then on the, you and I will be together for, I think we're going to do a post-game hit for the Grind City Rewind. I'm not sure. And then we have the double post with you and John Roser and Bennett Doyle coming up after all that on Grind City Media. So appreciate you, Jess. Have a great call tonight.
Bye, guys. See you later.
All right. Appreciate you, Jessica. We were noticing it's 7:49, and we haven't seen John Morant out there yet. Normally, he'd be out there by this time. I feel like we're on Santa Claus watch, like, you know, the night before Christmas when everybody's waiting for Santa to get here. Mm-hmm. Santa ain't here yet.
Yeah, he would. This is about the time he would be. Yeah, the
Mavs PR staff just tweeted out that Brandon Williams and Anthony Davis have gone from probable to available.
It's amazing.
So, you know, left abductor strain for Davis and a left oblique strain for Brandon Williams.
He has risen indeed.
Yeah.
It's Easter weekend.
So yeah, it's one of those things. Now we just need to get the update from the Grizzlies side, and hopefully we have some good news there. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to see if we got an update from the Grizzlies. We are about 40 minutes from Grizzlies and the Mavericks tipping off. Pete Pranica is going to join us also on the other side of this break. You're watching the warm-up show here on Grind City Media.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
You got triple. I had went through that court when I was in Portland.
Me on the team, you got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triple.
You got triple teams.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, TA.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We are in March, which is Women's History Month.
True.
And we were talking about how do we kick off the show? What can we talk about? And we were like, why don't we talk about women's shoes? The Sabrina one. Okay.
Can't go wrong.
Right?
That's a good shoe.
And the two, you could argue, is even better. But the one's
you can't
fine.
have the two without the one.
Yeah.
Though.
In the month of February, the Sabrina 2 was the second most worn shoe in the NBA in minutes played. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
They say main event Jey Uso was going to open the show. So they said they're starting to hear rumbles around the plaza level of Jey Uso. They're getting the crowd together to build up the main event Jey Uso entrance. Hey, 15,000 people together, yeeting in unison, 5-star. They are yeeting together.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the warm-up show here on Grind City Media, getting you ready for tonight's game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks. It's win or go home time, and we are here for the M. Somewhere I got this. I'm Lane Whitaker. I'm here with Michael Wallace and John Roser as we get you guys prepped and ready to go tonight. We're about, 38 minutes from tip, unless the Hawks Heat game runs long. And we're still waiting to hear an update on Ja Morant. We're still waiting to see if he takes the court and does warm-ups. If we do, we'll have live coverage of it right here for you. That's why we're doing the show. Let's talk a little bit about this Dallas and Memphis matchup tonight. We saw Scottie Pippen get the start for the Grizzlies in the game in Tuesday night at Golden State. Do you think the Grizzlies go with Scottie Pippen again tonight, or this big Dallas team, do they make some sort of lineup change, Mike, and try to find something else that works for them?
I think Tuomas Isalo is going to do what it takes to win that specific game. He's very game specific when it comes to the rest of his lineup and rotation around, the top 4 guys. So, I do feel like he may tweak the starters and go big and maybe put Santi in there. He may go back to Vince Williams Jr. Somebody's going to have to be able to match up with P.J. Washington. I think that's the problem.
Ja just took the court to warm up.
That's good news.
Got an update.
That's good news. That's good news. That's good news.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that being the case, then, now, the last time Ja took the court and did not play was in Detroit, but that was about a food poisoning, right?
Yeah.
So if he's gotten this far, if he's gone through this much, that means the ankle has been worked on, that means it's been treated, that means it's been stimulized, and that means, okay, now this is the last check. Let me check this last box, get my jump shot going, see how I land, and those kind of things. And remember, he also could have done some work on the practice court before even going down to the main court too. So if he's gotten to this point, it will be hard to see him not play, or at least not give it a go in the starting lineup.
John, would you go with Scottie at the 3, or would you figure out somebody else to go in that starting lineup?
I would. I'd just lean into it. Like, they're going to be big. Okay, well, go small.
Yeah.
And be faster. and try to beat them. Like, they're not, it is crazy for all their size. We have talked about, they're not a great rebounding team.
Yeah.
So if you can get the ball off the rim, we talked about Jessica, Zach Edey can have a good rebounding game and get the ball off the rim, get it out to the perimeter guys, get up the court, use your speed to get up the court, push tempo, have the pace the way you want it to.
This is going to be the most watched warm-up in a long time as we all sit here and watch Ja.
Yeah, what do you see, Lane? What do you see?
Well, he's not jumping.
Well, he never does during this first little circle.
He's just taking.
Now he steps back to the three-point line and he starts to jump right there.
Yeah, I mean, but he's still. I mean, it's like me jumping. You know, like he's not going foot and a half in the air like normal.
No, but this is the normal part of his warm-up though. Like if you watch him closely every single warm-up, he gradually gets to the extension, and now you're seeing he put a little bit more oomph in that jump. He doesn't get a lot of air on his jump shot anyway to begin with, but what I'm seeing so far is what he's normally doing about this pace and time during his warm-ups.
I saw his security guy back there, and I saw Diego from Nike back there too. So like he's got and his daughter was there too.
Yep.
So he's got his people there. I was saying earlier today on Jessica's show this morning that I thought back to when I came to Memphis 12 years ago, a long time ago, when I was working at Slam magazine to do a Pau Gasol story. Mm-hmm. And when I came to Memphis, Pau had a sprained ankle. Mm-hmm. And we hear that phrase thrown around so much covering the league. Someone's sprained ankle, out with a sprained ankle. And when I was talking to Pau, he was like, "Do you want to see my ankle?" And I go, "Yeah."
Nah.
And he took his shoe and his sock off, and his ankle was huge. It looked like there was a baseball attached to the side of his foot. Yeah. Like, I think we kind of get immune to it, and we think, oh, sprained ankle, you know, whatever. It's just like I get a sprained ankle 3 nights a week when I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Yeah. But I think this is a serious thing he's trying to play through.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, it absolutely is. Like you could tell that it was a. You could tell when he did it in Golden State. You're like, that's not. That's not. It was tough for him to get off the court. They immediately took him over to the tunnel. So you knew this was something serious. And then the reports that came out earlier this afternoon from Shams, you're like, this is not just a little. I rolled it. And but I'm fine the next day. No, this is something that's very real, and it hurts.
Well, while we watch Ja warm up, we are still, I don't know, a couple hundred yards away from the actual court. But somebody who's right there on the court, Pete Pranica, television voice of the Grizzlies on FanDuel Sports Network, joins us now live from Courtside. And Pete, we're not used to seeing you without the suit on. I have to be honest. I prefer seeing you with the suit and the mic ready to go, ready to take us on to Grizzlies Live and get us ready for the game. But are you still excited about the magic of the NBA tonight?
Yeah, I'm very excited about tonight's game. I mean, this is an opportunity to still qualify for the playoffs when you think about what this team has gone through since the All-Star break with the injuries and the coaching change. The opportunity is still to make the postseason. Yeah, you'd be going against the best team in the league in the Oklahoma City Thunder, but look, you have an opportunity here in front of your home fans to earn your way into the playoffs. So I'm excited about it. Normally people aren't excited about trips to Oklahoma City, but I'd be delighted to get on the plane tomorrow afternoon to go to OKC.
I saw you down there earlier courtside. We were all sitting down there just kind of watching different players come and go and warm up. I'm assuming you've been down there since Ja came out, watching Ja warm up. And I know normally you're down there courtside when he goes through his warm up. Have you seen anything different, or does it look like the same old Ja out there tonight?
It doesn't really look anything different from his normal warm-up. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't do any major elevation. I mean, it's a lot of tippy-toe jump shots and not a huge amount of lift. I'm looking at both ankles. I'm not seeing that one is more heavily wrapped than the other. So I'm sure that there is probably some extra wrap and extra bracing. But, you were talking about the size of how an ankle can swell up. And I'm not, at least what I'm able to see, I'm not able to see that it is as swollen as maybe we have feared. And Tim McMahon of ESPN came by and said, well, his ankle's, massive. And I'm not seeing that right now. And I'm not seeing any discomfort when he lands. So we'll see. I don't know that he's going to try any crazy dunks in the warm-up period. But look, he's enough of a pro and he knows his body well enough that he probably understands the parameters of what he can and can't do. Hopefully he can do a lot more than he can't do.
And Pete, these are all controlled movements as Ja continues to warm up right behind you from where your station is on this talk back here. These are all controlled movements right here. So he's going to be able to know where to land, how to land, and how to go about this. The issue, though, is when you're not able to control and you're more instinctive and you're in game. So that's going to be the challenge right there. We're really not going to see Ja's flexibility and level of discomfort until he's actually having to react to something that he didn't anticipate. But when you look at what the Grizzlies have to do, we keep saying protect the basketball, give yourself a chance, and limit the turnovers. That's going to be crucial. But how important is pace going to be? So we need Ja to push it. We need Scotty to push it. How important is it pace going to be in this game when you're going up against a Dallas front line like that?
Pace is going to be absolutely vital. I mean, you got to make their big guys run, because if you think that you are going to let them set up in a half-court defense and you're going to be able to get something done in the paint, I know statistically their paint points allowed is pretty high, but Tuomas Isolo in tonight's press availability said that they are the best in the league at limiting your touches in the paint. So if you're trying to play half-court basketball against them and you're trying to throw it into the paint, whether it's to Zach or to Jaren, that's going to be really tough. So the Grizzlies will have to play at pace, there's no doubt about it. I think for Ja Morant, obviously running in a straight line is going to be great, but you make a great point. If he has to react defensively to something he's not anticipating, that's going to put a little more stress on that ankle. But pace is absolutely what the Grizzlies have to have tonight, or otherwise half-court game against this Dallas team, which is so big not only in the paint but on the wings, it would make it very, very difficult.
We see Kari out there with Ja now, getting some dribbling drills in as Ja shoots his free throws. Pete, this matchup against Dallas, the Grizzlies fared pretty well against them this season. I assume now we just throw all that out the window, because if the Dallas team we see tonight is the same Dallas team we saw against Sacramento 2 nights ago, this is a sort of a horse of a different color, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the 3-1 series lead and you throw all that out because Luka Doncic played in only one game. You know, the first game that the Grizzlies lost in Dallas shot like 20 free throws in the fourth quarter. There's an outlier or something wrong statistically in all 4 of those games, particularly the game last Sunday where everybody sat their rotation guys. So I did talk to the Grizzlies coaching staff about this, and basically what they were focusing on in their scouting tape were the 10 games that Anthony Davis did play with the Mavericks. That is where they are focused right now, because obviously he is going to be key to their hopes for victory and moving on to a playoff series with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, you know, you could probably pick up a few things from the first 4 games, but not a whole lot. I think you're probably better served by looking at the last 10 games or the 10 games that AD has played with the Mavericks than anything else.
Yeah, and Pete, when you look at what this game has to, to mean, and I hate to put you on the spot, but these are going to be things we're going to be asking as soon as tomorrow, depending on the outcome of this game. But if the Grizzlies somehow can't find a way to win it tonight, how do you look at this season? How do you evaluate this season in terms of, I don't want you to give a grade, but obviously this will be a season that did not reach expectations based on where we were in training camp. But how do you sort of look at this season, and where do you begin the evaluation process?
Well, if the Grizzlies aren't able to advance to play Oklahoma City, there's going to be an awful lot of difficult words that are probably going to be said about this particular season. Why did it not turn out this way? Again, part of that is injuries. Ja Morant, for the first part of the season, was not on the floor on a consistent basis. And when you look at what the Grizzlies really need tonight, they really need good defense. And you're not going to have Jalen Wells because of an unfortunate foul that ended up with him breaking a wrist. Also, Brandon Clark taking a fall in Portland, which ended up in a PCL injury. So some of it you can blame on injuries, but there was something that happened coming out of the All-Star break that the defensive intensity, and we heard Taylor Jenkins talk about it over and over again, we need to have a sense of urgency. And that, to me, after the All-Star break was a little concerning, why there wasn't that sense of urgency, because this Western Conference is stacked. I mean, you win 45, 46, 47 games, you don't think that you're fighting through the play-in tournament to get into the postseason. So part of it is injuries. Part of it is something that I think that there's going to have to be some self-reflection on what happened after the All-Star break, both from the coaching staff level and from the players as well. and some of it is this West is absolutely stacked this year, and you're looking at a Dallas team that's sub 500 and is one game away from being the 8th seed.
Pete, last thing, and then we'll let you go get ready for the game. We talked about this a little bit among ourselves, but curious for your answer on this. We saw Scottie Pippen get the start in Golden State for the Grizzlies. If you're the Grizzlies tonight, do you start Scottie again against this giant Dallas lineup, or do you try to find some other answer at the small forward spot?
It's a really good question. I'm almost thinking you might want to bring Scottie off the bench so that he can maintain the pace. If you have Morant and Pippen on the floor at the same time, they're pushing pace together. If one or both of them have to come off the floor, and if both of them have to come off the floor, then what are you doing for pace? Obviously, then perhaps Desmond Bane or maybe Luke Kennard becomes your primary ball handler, but neither one of those guys can push the pace the way Ja and Scottie can. So if I'm looking at it, I know it's a massive lineup, and maybe you want to go small to counter it with speed, but you want to have some speed in reserve. And the Grizzlies bench, I think that's another thing too. This last month of the season, some of it's been shorter minutes, but this Grizzlies bench has not been as productive as it was earlier in the season.
That's the television voice of the Grizzlies, Pete Pranica. And Pete, I hope we have not seen the last of you on the call this season. I hope we get to hear you next week from Oklahoma City.
You and me both. I'm hoping for a flight tomorrow afternoon to OKC.
Thank you, Pete. We appreciate you. Pete Pranica joining us live from Courtside down at FedEx Forum. You guys both talked about what we would do in terms of starting lineups, whatever. Vince Williams played 3 minutes the other night. And this is a guy who a year ago...
Trying to forget those minutes. Thanks a lot. We're trying to forget those minutes.
He was awesome.
By the way, Ja Morant is starting tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
He's starting tonight. They put the starting lineup out. Scottie Pippen is starting tonight.
So they're going to go back with Scottie.
You said roll small, so they're staying with...
I'm not kidding. I mean, when you saw what we got from Vince Williams the other night, Luke Kennard's reluctance to shoot the ball when he's out there, and Jalen Wells being in a cast, I mean...
Yeah,
Scottie Pippen Jr. is probably your best option at the small forward spot, unless you want to play Jalen Wells with one arm, which, I mean,
I also wonder
I'm not opposed to it.
But you suggested that the other day on the show and almost got kicked off the show.
Well, no, then Pranica, I think Pete Pranica had the tweet that Jalen Wells is at practice putting up shots with one hand with a cast on the other. I'm like, I mean, come on.
We've seen it.
Every foul will be a flagrant
Mike
foul.
Conley played with a broken face. Why can't you play with a broken wrist?
John's playing with a sprained ankle.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
By the way, the Hawks have taken the lead on the Heat. They're up 96-92. Yeah. 96-92 with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Trae Young, 5 for 17 from the field. Zachary Ricochet, 1 for 11 from the field.
And they're right there.
But the Hawks are winning by 4. So.
Because of Onyeka Okongwu.
Yeah, Okongwu's got 25 points.
10 for 15
9 boards.
From the field.
And Dyson Daniels, 9 points, 9 boards. 3 steals.
What a rally. What a rally.
Well.
What a rally.
We're going to take one more break, I think, here, and then we're going to come back. Rob Fischer is going to join us, and then we're going to go around the NBA a little bit, look at some stories from around the league, and get you ready for tip-off. We've got about, 22 minutes before the Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks play this game. It's win or go home time. We're here for the M. You're watching the warm-up show on Grind City Media.
You've coached a lot of different versions of the SEC, and obviously there's never been one deeper than this. What's it like been coaching in this?
The reason for the league being so good is the commitment. Commitment to coaching, commitment to facilities, commitment to the NIL across the board. There is not anybody in our league that's not investing in all those things.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to GrizzBeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We had big classic news from the Southern Heritage Classic last week when it was announced Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alcorn State will be the two Classic participants.
Being a part of the Classic is a big deal. It's third year for UAPB and the first year for Alcorn. So I'm just glad we were able to get it done.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back to the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. Lang Whitaker alongside Michael Wallace and John Rosers. We get you ready. We got 19 minutes until the Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks tip off in a win-or-go-home game here at FedEx Forum. And guys, we already had Pete Pranica on the show. We had Jessica Benson on the show. We also have to have our other good friend, Rob Fischer, sideline reporter on FanDuel Sports Network for the Grizzlies. Rob joining us courtside, casual Fish tonight. In the sweatsuit, not fully decked out. Fish, does it feel weird to come to the game without one of your suits on?
Feels real weird. Because everybody says to me, "Oh, look at you! What is this? What is it?" And they're all disappointed with what I'm wearing. So that's kind of, it's not a real uplifter when I walk in, and that's all I hear from people. Plus, it means I'm not working, which I hate not working these games. I hate sitting on the side and watching, and not that we have control at all when we do the game, but you just feel like you're in it a little bit more. So I hate not working the games, but best of luck to the folks at ESPN tonight doing the game.
Fish, we've got to get to more important things first. It has been told to me by Lang Whitaker that you had a Filet-O-Fish yesterday sandwich, and I am just wondering what.
You're glossing over the good part. I asked Fish, what would you like to talk about on the pregame show? And he said, I had a Filet-O-Fish last night.
All right, let's talk about this. So, I don't know when the last time you had one was, but whenever it was, surely it wasn't that. It was probably a long time ago. So how does it hold up and why?
It's great. My kid, all he eats are chicken McNuggets from McDonald's. That's it. That's all he eats. So we're going to McDonald's all the time. So there are times where I feel like having a meal, and I might get a Big Mac or I'll get a quarter pounder cheese, one of those two, and get the meal. But sometimes I just want a snack, and when I want a snack, it's between two options. It's a double cheeseburger, or it's the Filet-O-Fish.
That's a snack.
Last night I was in a Filet-O-Fish mood, and
is it on the 99? Do they still have a dollar menu at McDonald's?
No.
Inflation got it.
Value.
Inflation got it. Yeah.
But it was great. Holds up well. It's still the same little fish patty.
Jeez, you want to call that fish? With
tartar sauce.
Is there a pickle on it?
Sauce they put on top of it.
Tartar sauce.
No pickle.
All right. The one thing I can add
it was
to this,
fantastic. It was great. It was a great snack for sure.
The one thing I can add to this conversation is I've written about food a lot for GQ and other people besides cooking with Lang.
Did you write about the Filet-O-Fish?
No, but one of the cardinal rules from every great chef is you never mix cheese and fish. Ever. You never mix cheese and fish. I once did a piece for GQ with the chef Alex Atala. He's the chef of the number 4 rated restaurant in the world. And we were cooking something that had anchovies. And I said, why don't we put some fish and some cheese on it? And he almost punched me. He was furious. And that's part of what makes the Filet-O-Fish so good, though, is the slice of cheese on top.
The slice of cheese.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, Fish.
Absolutely. The slice of cheese on top is great. And really, is it fish anyway? We're really not sure.
Well, the cheese also is not cheese. There are like Instagram videos of this, of somebody taking like a piece of McDonald's cheese and like lighting it on fire, and like nothing happens to it. It doesn't burn, like none. It's like, what is this? What are we really eating here?
The Miami Heat have taken the lead over the Hawks now with 1:45 to go, 101-100. Hey, Fish,
we got a barn burner.
We were talking to Pete about watching Ja warm up. We've all seen him warm up 100 times. Did you see anything different from Ja tonight, or did it look like normal Ja?
looked like normal Ja, went through a normal warm-up. Didn't give any signs of pain when he was warming up. I've expected all day he's going to play, and I've expected since the other night he was going to play, and I think Ja's going to give it a go tonight. He is giving it a go. He's in the starting lineup, so he is giving it a go tonight. But I didn't see anything alarming or anything even concerning, really, watching Ja warm up. Now, he doesn't really warm up at a fast pace,
right?
So it's hard to see. It's a lot of jump shots. It's kind of some walkthroughs to the basket. There aren't a lot of hard drives or anything like that. So it probably was a little difficult to even tell during a Ja warm up.
If Ja's out there, I mean, obviously that helps with ball handling and getting us into the offense and that kind of thing. But points off turnovers has been sort of a mess for the Grizzlies all season long. They had 19 turnovers against Golden State on Tuesday night. Like, is that something at this point in the season do you think they can address, or is it is what it is? You got to figure out how to live with it at this point.
I think that's pretty much it at this point of the season. It is what it is. You got to be smarter. I mean, Tomas Isalo even said tonight during his pregame press conference that we got to make smarter decisions late in games, especially. And that's the biggest problem with the points off turnovers. It's when you're doing it, and you're doing it late in games, and it's not just the turnovers; it's scoring those points off of them. Against Golden State, 6 of your 19 turnovers came in the fourth quarter. 9 of your 23 points that you gave up off turnovers came in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's failure to execute in the fourth quarter, and you're going against a team like Golden State. They're going to execute in the fourth quarter because of the veterans and the high IQ players that they have. Well, you don't want to take that chance with Dallas. You've got to do a better job executing in the fourth quarter. I would expect it to be a close game, and if it's a close game come fourth quarter, Grizzlies got to execute a lot better. They can't do what they did in the game against Golden State, can't do what they did in the game against Denver, where the big three had a combined just 3 points in that fourth quarter. That just can't happen and expect to win ball games.
Yeah, and Fisher, we've talked about Ja Morant ad nauseum, but we know he's going to be neutralized. There's going to be a neutralized Ja Morant to some degree. How can a neutralized Ja Morant still be an effective Ja Morant without trying to do too much, but also doing enough to spark this team?
Well, he can set up others, and we know how effective he can be doing that. And a neutralized Ja Morant, I don't think that's going to be the case, Michael. I really don't. I think once the
curtain drops.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Adrenaline.
The adrenaline. Once the adrenaline kicks in, I think he'll be fine. I mean, if when he sets up guys, it's because he drives hard into the painted area. So is he not going to be able to drive hard in the painted area? Well, if he can't drive hard, is he going to be able to set guys up for easy looks? Maybe not. So I think he's going to be able to drive hard. I think the other things he's going to be able to shoot. He's been shooting the ball well from 3 as well, and teams still seem to allow him to take that shot. So I would expect that he'll take that when given the opportunity. But I don't expect to neutralize Ja. I really don't. If he was going to be neutralized, I don't think he'd be playing tonight.
Well, one of the other ways Ja has made his presence felt all season, in a lot of ways, kind of covered up some missteps by the Grizzlies, is when we call 12 at the end of the games. Late game execution's been an issue for these Grizzlies all season long. When you can call 12, you don't really have to worry about it because you just clear it out and let him go one-on-one. If you're not able to call 12 and Ja's not able to do that tonight, how do you fix the late game execution? We saw it at the end of the Golden State game the other night on the inbounds play. We've seen it all season long. How do we do something about the late game execution?
Well, I think it's got to go through Jaren. And, we've talked all along about this game tonight and the matchup, and the problem is the size that they have. So what's Jaren going to do? If Jaren gets double-teamed or if Jaren's being guarded and can't beat a guy one-on-one, can he find the open guy? Can he find Desmond Bane for the shots? But I think it's got to go through the paint. It's weird this team is as big as they are, but they're still not a very good rebounding team. So they're rim defenders, but you can still get to the elbow and get that jump shot to go down. Jaren can get his shots to go down from in the painted area. So I think it's got to go through the paint. It's got to go through Jaren first and foremost. And that's really the key tonight, I think, because of the size of the Mavericks, keeping Jaren and Zach Edey both on the floor tonight.
That's where I was going to go, Fish. Keeping Jaren and Zach Edey on the floor is going to be essential And I also think you have an opportunity with both of those guys, whether it's Edey crashing for his offensive rebounds or Jaren isolating and going right at those guys. You have a chance to put them in foul trouble early, too. If you can get Anthony Davis off the floor, you completely neutralize that Mavericks front court a little bit as well, too. So I think the Grizzlies have an opportunity there as well. They just have to attack from that standpoint. How essential will that side of the basketball be?
Huge. I mean, if you can get Anthony Davis off the floor, it changes the entire tenor of the game. I mean, that would change everything. But I think that matchup's the biggest matchup. And again, whether it's Jaren scoring or Jaren playmaking to keep guys away from the shooters, even that would be great to see. That's how is Dallas going to combat that? What are they going to do with their bigs? Are they going to double Jaren, or feel like they don't have the need to double Jaren? I would say if they don't feel like they have the need to double Jaren, good, go to work, Jaren, and get to the basket and get some points. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Dallas defends it. But the Grizzlies, we got to win that battle on the boards tonight, especially. It's very crucial for the game tonight.
Last thing before we let you go, see the Grizzlies are coming out behind you and going to nudge you off the court there in a second. Last thing, what's your gut feeling on tonight? How do you think this game goes?
Zach Randolph one time, I told the story the other day, when the Grizzlies were down 3-0 to the San Antonio Spurs in the year that Jordan Farmar and Birdman were starting in the playoffs. And Mike Sadie asked Zach Randolph after a practice, he said, do you believe? Because, we believe. Asked Zach if he believed, and Zach looked at him and said, yeah, sure, I believe. It's kind of how I feel. It feels like you're in a 3-0 deficit going into this game tonight. And a lot of times when you're in a 3-0 deficit, what's the mindset of the team? That has a lot to do with it. Everything I've heard about Dallas, they're confident. They have something to prove. They had a great shoot-around this morning. They're all locked in. I mean, you keep hearing those words about them. What are you hearing about the Grizzlies? I mean, the guys are saying they're confident, but we'll see. And by the way, Marcus Smart just walked in the building.
Who
did you hear me? Marcus Smart just walked in the building. Marcus Smart.
I got that text that he's going to be there tonight.
Marcus Smart in the house.
Him and his wife,
Oh, Fisher, here we go. Marcus Smart appearance on the, on the warm-up show. I'm going to petition that we change the name of the Filet-O-Fish to the Filet-O-F-I-S-C-H.
At least in Memphis. You need an NIL deal.
At least in Memphis. I like that call.
Yeah, you need an NIL deal.
With the Filet-O-Fish?
Yeah.
I really
McDonald's.
do. I mean, I tried to save the Mexi Melt to Taco Bell with and did not work.
You and Gary Parrish and myself.
I love the Mexi Melt too.
Yeah. The Mexi Melt. Us and Gary Parrish. Yeah. Gary Parrish is the one who put me onto the Mexi Melt years and years ago.
Amazing, yeah. All right, Fish. Appreciate you.
And now just trying to do it with the Filet-O-Fish. We can make this happen, fellas.
All right,
let's go Grizz.
Let's go Grizz. Fish, appreciate you. Let you get ready for this game, and we'll see you down the road. Hope we get to see you Tuesday from Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fish. All right, guys, we got about 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes until we get ready for this game and the game tips off. Let's the Hawks game. The Hawks are down 2, got a rebound and a timeout. So Tyler Hero missed a free throw, could have made it a 3-point game. But the Heat were called for a foul.
Lacks the clutch gene.
Trae Young drew a foul with 6 seconds left.
You don't say.
How about that? Let's go around the NBA a little bit before we get out of here, because there's a couple of stories that have been breaking news around the NBA the last few days. Let's go down with the Kings. Sacramento Kings lost the other night to the Dallas Mavericks, and afterwards fired, or I guess parted ways with, because they said it was a mutual decision.
Yeah.
With Monty McNair, who was the Executive of the Year in 2023. I've hired Scott Perry, longtime NBA exec, used to be with the Sonics, the Thunder, the Knicks, a bunch of different places.
that was kind of wild. Like they fired him, and then an hour later had Scott Perry ready to go. It's like almost like free agency tampering, how it's like you're not allowed to contact until this period, and then until midnight of whatever, and midnight hits, and it's like so-and-so has agreed to a 3-year, $39 million deal, and it's like, already?
Does anything the Kings do surprise you anymore, Mike?
No, I mean, in terms of just them being in constant flux, right? I mean, I know they have one of the most one of the most aggressive owners. He's not afraid to make, bold moves. He's been making them all the way through since he took over that team. But yeah, that's the new NBA now, because the same thing happened in New Orleans. David Griffin got axed, and then right before the ink dried, but right before the door closed behind him, Joe Dumars was on his way in. So, those are the kind of things that these teams are holding themselves accountable at the front office level when you don't reach expectations. So that's part and parcel for where the league is right now.
Man, he said Monty McNair put out a statement. He said, "Light the beam" at the end of it, which was a year ago.
They had it was a couple years ago when it started, and that was the year they ended up with the 3 seed or something, and they played the Warriors in the first round. It's the same year we lost to the Lakers in the first round as the 2 seed, but they lost to the Warriors in Game 7. They got done in by Steph Curry. He had like a 50-point game in Game 7, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But that light the beam, it was the best thing going in the NBA that year.
It was the best thing that's happened to that franchise in a decade or so. Yeah, it was good.
They still have Keegan Murray. They still got that when he scores.
And they still got half the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah.
Dame time in Milwaukee. It's Dame time. Damian Lillard went out a couple weeks ago with a blood clot, and now he is no longer on blood thinner medication. Who would have thought I'd be on blood thinner longer than Damian Lillard? Because I still am. But Dame Lillard,
I would have thought you would have still been.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you were going with that one, but yeah.
Dame Lillard is going to make a return. It sounds like soon. He's going to miss Game 1 at least for Milwaukee as they get set to play. I forget who they're playing.
Who, Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Indiana,
as they get set to play Indiana. But Dame should be back at some point in this series. Does he move the needle for you in terms of their chances?
No question about it. This is the first time that I've ever heard of an NBA player coming back in season.
By the way, we got overtime in Atlanta.
In
Miami,
yeah.
Atlanta, so that means our game's going to get pushed a little bit.
Will it?
Yeah.
We're on different channels.
Is it?
They are.
I think they still wait.
TNT and ESPN. Yeah, we're ESPN.
They're on different channels.
But they said our game has a 7-minute slide
from that.
So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Screw that.
Dame is But then again, you know what? It might not though. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think it's
Dame. Dame is the first player that's come back from this in the middle of a season or late in the season that I've ever seen. And I hope that he stays healthy. You don't play around with blood clots. But you have to be taken off blood thinners. There's no way you can play on blood thinners.
Yeah.
So hopefully his condition is to the point where he'll be able to get back into that series maybe 2 or 3 games in.
Yeah. Last thing. I was trying to come up with a pun for desert, and I thought of Desert Rose. I thought we'd call this one Desert Gross. The Phoenix Suns, we know they fired Mike Budenholzer, and they said that they're going to have to figure out what to do. Had the largest salary in NBA history, missed the playoffs, finished 10 games under 500. Owner Matt Ishbia had a press conference earlier this week, and he said a lot of things. Here's a quote from his press conference. He said, "Embarrassing season, awful, it was a failure. We have to do stuff differently." He said, "I'm disappointed." He said, "It was not fun to watch the Suns this year." And he said, "I'm here for it, and I'm here to be accountable. It was not fun to watch our team this season. I will do a better job as an owner. You guys will feel the change. It will be undeniable." Mike, if you're trying to fix the Phoenix Suns, what's step one?
Step one is to figure out, where does Bradley Beal want to be? And
what if he wants to be in Phoenix? That's the problem.
And I mean, like, I know in the NFL, you just cut the guy and you eat the money, right? You got to buy your way out of that contract or figure out a way to get him there. Because if you don't trade Bradley Beal, then you're going to end up losing and costing Devin Booker some valuable time. Now, granted, he's about to sign a 2-year, $150 million extension, $75 million a year for this dude, right? But at the end of the day, for Devin Booker, it's not just about the money. It's about, I want a chance to go win. And I think you start with Devin Booker, but you got to figure out how to get out of that Bradley Beal situation one way or another. Even if it's dead money on your cap, you just have to get rid of it.
You got to figure out. The thing I take from this is, there are always fans of certain teams that say, where's our owner? When things maybe not going the way they want, they say, "Where's our owner? I want to hear from our owner. Why don't we ever hear from our owner?" Blah, blah. When is the last time you heard from an owner in sports and you were like, Yeah, it's a good thing we had to hear from our owner. Like, every time owners talk, it's never for good reasons. So, I think be happy when your owner is not necessarily just, like, all out in the open, always looking for a microphone.
Also, for what it's worth, Bradley.
But he does care, though. Matt Ishbia does. Like, he puts his resources behind whatever he wants to do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely
For what it's
does.
worth, Bradley Beal's agent is the father of the CEO of the Phoenix Suns, which is kind of
Bartlestein, right.
Anyway, we got 1 minute before we got a hard out here, and we got to get you ready for this game. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you on the way out, one matchup to watch tonight.
One matchup to watch tonight is Najee Marshall, Ja Morant. Najee has gotten under Ja's skin before. Back when he was with New Orleans, they had a little bump situation, and now he knows that Ja Morant is wounded, so we'll see if Ja can elevate above that.
All right. We got 39 seconds to get you out of here, so we are going to let you guys go to the bathroom, get your drink ready, sit on the couch, or if you're at FedEx Forum, go get in your seat because we're about to have pregame introductions, the national anthem by Cameron Whalen. Nephew of Kirk Whalen, who's one of the guys in Bruno Mars's band, which is pretty cool. You can listen to the game on the radio, ESPN 92.9 with Eric Hasseltine, Jessica Benson, and Bennett Doyle, and Elliot Perry, or watch it on ESPN. We hope we get to see you again on another warm-up show later this week. We are here for the M. Appreciate you. Go Grizz. We'll see you soon on Grind City Media.